Excuse me, cat. Oh, there we go. Go away. Go away. Be a cat and sleep somewhere. Thank you. Hi guys, James here. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to film this because I love makeup, and today I'm feeling really pretty. I did this look quickly just to film this video, and I did film a short, so I will put that up on my YouTube channel, Instagram and TikTok. But this is the look that I did today using two colors from the Glaminatrix Grounded palette. Then I put some black liner in the waterline and then some lashes. These lashes were a lot easier to play with than my last one in my last video. Talking about my last video, guys, I am so amazed at how the tutorial of this palette did on my YouTube channel. I normally get maybe 50 views on my YouTube videos, like the long form content videos, 100 if I'm lucky, but in the last 24 hours that video has jumped up to 480 views. Plus I've got like 17 new subscribers, which is mind-boggling. It takes me probably 3 months to get 17 new subscribers and a whole lot of shorts and a whole lot of videos in that 3 months. So the fact that I've actually got that on one video is mind-boggling. So I'm so grateful, and to all the new subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing and liking that video. Even if you didn't leave a comment, I do appreciate you for being here. Now please don't unsubscribe now that you watched this video, because that's probably what will happen. But just know I'm so grateful for anyone who did like and subscribe to any of my videos on my channel, and to all the people who have been here from the very start to the middle to right now. Thank you so much for being here. Today I thought it would be a great and fun idea to do a little swatch party comparing two palettes that are very similar color story wise. We've got the Glaminatrix Grounded palette, and then we've got the Yucca palette from Natasha Denona. Now this is a 1.5 years old, I think, and this is like a week old. So I have both of these two palettes. I'm going to quickly talk about this palette a little bit more. In my first impressions video that you guys just watched, which was my last video, I'll link that in this video. I talked about this palette saying that this is a 20 pound pressed pigment palette. It's actually a 15 pound. In my mind I knew it was 15, but I kept saying 20 throughout the whole video, so I know that triggered a few people. I do apologize about that. This palette has 10 mattes and 5 shimmer to multi-chrome shimmers, and the Yucca palette is the same with 10 mattes and 5 shimmers. Now the shimmer formula is different to the Glaminatrix formula. That is why I want to swatch them and compare the two next to each other, and they both have a 24-month expiry date on it. The Yucca palette is made in Italy, and the Glaminatrix palette is made in the People's Republic of China. They are both cruelty and vegan free. This palette does retail for $123 Australian, while the Glaminatrix palette retails for $95 Australian. So they are similar in price. This one's a bit more, and Natasha Denona is more of an expensive brand, and Glaminatrix is an Australian indie brand, so they are a little pricey, but well worth the money. And now that I have gone through all that information, let's open these up. So we've got both palettes here. They are quite similar in size. They have both the same type of weight. They are like very sturdy palettes, very luxury feeling, like they're not cheap feeling, which is great. This Grounded palette from Glaminatrix has like a faux leather unicarton or packaging on the outside, and I don't know if you can see the stencil. It is like, it looks like it's a mountain, and then the Grounded part is like all the roots coming out from underneath the mountain into the ground, so it's like grounding the earth. I think that's what they're going for. It's a little bit hard to see because it's just etched into the same color. It's not any different, but I do like the packaging. Again, it feels very nice. And then the Yucca palette from Natasha Denona has like a matte feel to it. It's very luxe. It feels really rich. You can see where you can actually pop the shades out. You put like a needle or something in there and you can pop the shades right out, which is great. But the packaging is very nice. And I think because it's a matte packaging, that's why I kept the unicarton, because I really wanted to keep this cleaner, and the only way that was going to happen is if I kept it in its box. So I think that is the only reason I kept the packaging, but it's such a beautiful palette. Now let's open the Yucca palette up first and show you what it looks like in detail. This is what all the shades look like. Very like grungy, yellowy, mustard green tones. Very pretty, very cool tone. Love all the shades. I haven't played with this one for a while, so I'm glad that I'm actually pulling it off the shelf and playing with it, even if I'm just showing off the shades. I will do some swatches of each of these palettes. So that's the Yucca palette, and then we've got the Glaminatrix one, Grounded, and again, the color story of this palette, quite similar. There are a few shades that are different, especially the shimmers, but the actual matte shades are quite similar, or at least some of them are quite similar, so that's why I wanted to do a comparison. Very, very pretty shimmers in the middle. Look at those shimmers. They are so pretty. Can't wait to swatch those next to the other ones. But a very yellowy, brown, green, mustard tone palette as well. Hopefully that was all in focus. Now, there are a few shades that are quite similar. So we've got a green, like this green here is quite similar to this green here. And then we've got like this shade here that is quite similar to kind of that shade there. So we do have a few shades in common. There is a white matte shade in this one where there isn't one in this one. So we don't have anything similar to that. But there are a few shades. So I thought it would be fun just to do some swatches. I'm going to start with the shade, okay, I can't say most of the shade names in the Yucca palette. So I'm just going to put them up on screen. But this is the shade here, the like moss forest green matte shade. I'm going to swatch that with one finger. That's what it looks like on my finger. And then I'm going to go into the shade Patient, which is this one here, which is quite similar, or at least, no, thought it was a bit more similar in person. But when they're swatched next to each other, there is a little bit of a difference. This one here has almost like a satin finish, while this one's a straight matte shade. Let me do a little swatch of them next to each other. I am actually going to swatch them on my face because I thought it would be a fun video. So we're going to swatch these on my face next to each other and we'll see if we can see any difference. So that is the Glaminatrix one, and then this one here is the Yucca palette one. Oh, okay, that is a huge difference. Let me just dip back into the Yucca palette because I want to give it like its moment and just try again. But we just saw how good that Glaminatrix swatch. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. Glaminatrix there, won in that category for that shade. That was, you can see the difference there. That's a big difference. Now we're going to go into this shade here, which again I can't say the name of, but we're going to put that on my finger. This one is more of a matte. Yeah, definitely more of a matte. So that's what that one looks like from the Yucca palette. And then from the Glaminatrix palette, we're going to go into the shade Steady, which is a nice, almost citrus matte. And those are the two swatches there. So this one here is from Glaminatrix. This one here is from Yucca. Let's swatch those on my face as well. So we'll swatch these right here. This one here is from Glaminatrix. Oh, look at that. So pretty. And then this one here is from the Yucca palette. Oh, again, you can see the Glaminatrix one. Maybe because it's a newer palette, but pigment-wise, Glaminatrix wins again. It really does. Maybe because the Yucca palette is an older palette, and this is like a brand new palette. Maybe that's why, but it's still a very big difference. We're going to continue. So we're going to go into the shade Flax, this one here from Yucca. And then from the Glaminatrix one, we're going to go into this shade here, which is the shade Agile. So again, clean off the fingers. We're going to go into the shade Agile, which is Glaminatrix. Oh, that's a nice cool tone brown. And then we've got the shade Flax. Those are the two swatches there. This one here, Glaminatrix. This one here, Yucca palette. And let's swatch these on the forehead. So this is Glaminatrix. Oh, that's pigmented. And then this one here is from the Yucca palette. Okay. Okay, not too bad. That's not too bad. Now the Yucca palette is a bit more cool tone, like grey. And then this one is a bit more pigmented, like a darker brown. But they are still quite similar. I think if I actually worked on the shade Flax from the Yucca palette, I could definitely get it to build up to the same pigment as the Glaminatrix one. So similar colours there and not too bad swatches. Alright, let's continue. The next shade we've got is this one here from the Yucca palette. Again, I'll put that up on the screen. And then we've got the shade Trust, which is the Glaminatrix shade. This one here, I haven't actually dipped into it, so I'm excited to feel that on my finger for the first time. So this is the shade Trust. Oh, that's nice. And then we've got the one from the Yucca palette that I can't pronounce. Those are the two shades here. Now this one here is the actual shade from the Yucca palette, and this one is from the Glaminatrix palette. So let's swatch those ones. This is the Yucca palette one. Oh, that's really pretty. And then this one here is the Glaminatrix palette one. Ooh. Oh, they are different. So those are the two swatches there, and I think the Yucca palette, the one on top, is actually the winner out of those two. So we've got the Yucca palette and then we've got the Grounded palette. This is the shade Trust. Both very pretty shades. This one is a bit deeper than this one. This one's a bit more brighter, but they are both very, very pretty. These other three, Glaminatrix has 1, but the Yucca palette has 1 on the board, so 3-1. Very, very interesting. All right, now let's swatch some shimmers. Now there is only one shimmer that is a very similar color story from both palettes, and that is the shade Plantasia from the Yucca palette and the shade Hole, W-H-O-L-E from the Glaminatrix palette. They are similar. The rest of the shimmers are quite different, so I do want to swatch the 2 shades that are similar. So this is the shade Plantasia. Oh, that feels so creamy. I think this one is more of a topper shade, while the Glaminatrix one is more of like a full shimmer pigment. Oh yeah, and it's very, very softly pressed. Alright, so these are 2 shades next to each other. This is from Glaminatrix, more of a foiled one, and then this one here is the Yucca one. In the palettes, they look very similar, but when I'm actually looking at the swatches on my fingers, they are very different. But I'm still going to swatch them. I'm assuming the Glaminatrix one is going to win, because it's more of a full coverage foiled shimmer, while this one's more of a topper. But I think it'll still be fun to swatch. My cat is poking at my mirror hand right now, but let's swatch it. Oh god, my camera's... Oh god. Cat, you are in the way. Alright, I'm trying to swatch it for you. This is the Glaminatrix one. That's what it looks like. Very, very pigmented. And then we've got the Yucca palette one. Yeah, this is definitely more of a topper shade. Alright, so we've got the Yucca palette one here, and then obviously the full coverage Glaminatrix one. I'm going to go back into the shade Plantasia and do more of a swatch for you so you can really see what it looks like. Again, the Glaminatrix one has 1 out of these 2, but I still think they are both very, very pretty. Obviously, this one here, it does have a little bit of fallout if you've got like hooded eyes like me. So apply the Glaminatrix shimmers with a glitter glue. I didn't do that in my first impressions video, but I do think that if you don't want any fallout during the day, if you're wearing this for a whole day, put some NYX glitter glue down and that will stop any fallout. But very, very pigmented. I love those 2 shades. I'm just going to remove this cat off my table so we can continue with this video. Excuse me, cat. Oh, there we go. Go away. Go away. Be a cat and sleep somewhere. Thank you. Alright, I think he's happy behind me, so hopefully he just stays there. We are now going to go back into the mattes. We've got the shade Present, which is one of my favorite shades, and I actually used that on the outer edge of my eye today. This is the matte shade from Glaminatrix. And then we've got the shade Valley, which I actually haven't touched. That's the shade there. Very pretty. I'm going to swatch both of those. So we've got the shade Valley on this finger here. And then we've got the shade Present. Those are the 2 shades together. They actually look quite similar. This one here from Glaminatrix might be a little bit darker, but they do look quite similar. Alright, so let's swatch those. I'm going to swatch them right here. So that's the Glaminatrix one. Well, that's not too bad. And then we've got the shade Valley from Yucca palette. God, you're standing in my palette now. Anyway, I'm going to continue. This here is the shade Glaminatrix. I think that's one a little bit over the shade Valley from the Yucca palette. I think both shades are quite nice and they did swatch quite nicely. Granted, I am swatching over a full face done of makeup, plus setting powder, plus setting spray and everything like that. So it's probably not the best canvas to do swatches on, but I thought it would be a fun video. Now I've swatched all the shades that are very similar out of both of these palettes next to each other. Now comes the fun part where I'm just going to swatch a whole lot of shimmers from the Glaminatrix palette and a whole lot of shimmers from the Yucca palette. They're not similar in shade, so I'm not going to compare those shades. I'm just going to do a swatch party on the rest of this face. So let's get into it. We've got the shade Balance and Solid from the Glaminatrix palette. They are like the yellowy and the lime green shade out of these 2 palettes. Very, very pretty. Very softly pressed, so they do have a lot of like pick up on your finger or brush, whatever you use. I like to use my finger when I apply swatches on my eyelid. So, oh, look how pretty that is. That is so pretty. I don't know if you'll be able to see like the different shift this shade has. Hopefully the mirror will pick it up a little bit. Oh, but it's so, so pretty. And then we've got the shade Soiled, which I'll do in the middle of my forehead because why not? Oh my god, that is so pretty. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera. I'm trying to move my forehead in different lighting so you can see the different shifts. In person, you can see like yellow and orange and almost pink sunset vibes with a hint of like lime green in the background. It's such a pretty shade. I love it so much. Then we've got the last two shimmer shades out of this palette, shade Calm and then the shade Secure, which is like a gold and blue, almost like marble shade. Those are the two swatches there. Again, very, very pretty. We're going to swatch the blue and gold one right here. Oh my god, that's so pretty. Again, so many different shifts out of that shade. Stunning. And then we've got the shade Calm, which is a bit more of like a pressed shimmer. It doesn't have like a foil base to it, but again, it has so many different shifts. I don't know if the camera's going to pick these up. I'm going to try and like show you in the mirror. I don't know, again, if I'm just looking in the viewfinder to see if it's in focus. Hopefully you can see the different shift with the mirror and all that. I know I see some YouTubers do this and I don't know if it's going to work for me, but hopefully you can see the difference. Again, all the shimmers out of the Grounded palette are outstanding, outstanding. Cannot rave about them enough. And now we're just going to switch hands and we're going to swatch the rest of the Yucca palette shimmers. Now I can't say the names of these, so again I'll put all of these up on screen as I swatch them for you. But we've got like a charcoal grey almost, and then we've got more of like a topper goldy shade, very pretty. And we're going to swatch one right here, which is like the charcoal grey shade. Oh, that is so pretty. That's so pretty. And then I'm also going to swatch the other one right next to it on the forehead. Oh, that's swatched so smoothly. Oh, look at that. That is stunning. I am looking a lot in the viewfinder just so you can see that everything is catching the light and showing you exactly what it looks like to the best of my abilities. So that's those two shades swatched. The last two we've got is a dark green and more of a light green out of this palette. Those are the two shades there. We've got like a darker one and a lighter green. And we are going to swatch these right here. So this is the dark one, and I'm just looking at the viewfinder when I do this, not in the mirror, so apologies. And then we've got the lighter green next to it. Oh, they swatch so smooth and clean. Oh, they are so pretty. Now, the ones from the Yucca palette don't really have like a shift, like the ones from Glaminatrix palette. They are just very true to color. What you see in the pan is what you get on your eye. They really don't have too much of a shift compared to the Glaminatrix one, but the Glaminatrix ones have been formulated to have those different multi-chromes and duochrome shifts compared to the Yucca palette ones. But the Yucca palette ones still swatch really smoothly and are very, very pigmented and really do feel like butter when you dip your finger into them and swatch them on your face. So all the shimmers perform very nicely for each of the palettes. The Grounded palette does have my heart just because I love all the different shifts, like the one on the forehead in person. Stunning, stunning. And then obviously these ones here, again, are very, very pigmented and they are fresher. This palette is only a week old compared to the Yucca palette, which is almost a year and a half to 2 years old. So there is a difference formula-wise because of the age. But I do think if the Grounded palette was a year and a half old, I still think I would choose the Grounded palette for those shimmers and also the pigment of those matte shades. They just outclass the Yucca palette a little bit more. But I love both palettes and got to keep both of these in my collection, especially when the Yucca palette was $123 Australian. I'm going to keep it until it stops working completely. Now guys, I hope you've enjoyed this type of video. I've never done one where I've compared two palettes and done swatches side by side, but I did have a lot of fun doing it. So I will try in the future to compare other palettes that I have that are very similar color story wise and compare swatches like I've done in this video. Now if you do like the video, please give it a thumbs up because that really does help me out, and subscribe to my channel if you're new, and also leave a comment down below if you've tried any of these palettes or if you've got both of these palettes. Let me know which one is your favorite out of the two because I'd love to know. With that guys, I'm going to love and leave you and play with this cat. I don't know where he is, but I'm sure he's going to want some attention. So I'm going to love and leave you, and I will see you in the next one. Oh my love, bye.